Welcome to Chapter 6 of Jacqueline Davies' The Lemonade War. It's called Underselling, which immediately you should highlight, put a V above it for a vocabulary word, underselling, pricing the same goods for less than the competition. So right away, you should know that's foreshadowing something that's coming later in the chapter. Obviously, someone's going to be underselling somebody else. And we already know we're from Chapter 5 that we're in the official war. Here we go. So if you're one of my students who's reading this, of course, put setting at the top of the page. We know that the setting could change throughout, and it does. And be very careful that we're getting the present setting. In this story, we have lots of anecdotes, lots of stories within the stories where we talk about other settings, and this chapter kind of flings through them right at the start. So try to figure out what the setting is as Jesse is telling the story. Well, Jesse as in the story. We know that it's a third-person narrative because the narrator is telling the story, but figure out what the current setting is because she will talk about other settings leading up to that moment. Jesse knew that Evan was up to something. First of all, there were all those phone calls last night, at least 10 of them. Then he'd come knocking on her door this morning, asking if he could have the pieces of foam core she had leaning against her bedroom wall. "No way," she'd answered. "That's for my Labor Day display." "Oh, give it up. Today's Thursday. The contest is on Monday, and you don't even have an idea," Evan said. "I do too have an idea. I'm just not telling you." Jessie still didn't have a clue about her Labor Day project, but she wasn't going to give Evan the satisfaction of knowing that. Highlight satisfaction, put a V above it. "Then how come you haven't done anything?" Evan said, pointing at the blank foam core and the bags of untouched art supplies. "You're supposed to have pictures and typed up information and a big title. It's supposed to be like a school report." Jessie scrunched her eyes and pursed her lips in a "you're such an idiot" look. "Don't worry, it's going to be great and it's going to win first prize. And anyway, Mom bought all those supplies for me and I'm not giving anything to you." Highlight pursed and put a V above that. How would it look if you pursed your lips? Jessie heard Evan mutter, "Miser," just as she slammed the door in his face. There's that word, miser. Again, highlight that. And now 3 of Evan's friends were over, Paul, Jack, and Ryan. Character. And all 3 had shown up with paper bags, and they were all in the garage making a lot of noise with a big keep out tape to the door. Not that Jessie would have gone in there anyway. Who cares what a bunch of boys are doing? But she wished Megan had invited her to come over before lunch instead of after. So what are they up to? And are we in the present setting yet? Jessie went into the kitchen to make a turkey sandwich. The boys had left a slimy mess of peanut butter, Doritos, and yes, sticky puddles of lemonade mix. Jessie quickly looked in the trash can under the kitchen sink. There were 12 empty cans of frozen lemonade mix. 12. That was 96 cups worth of lemonade. 96 possible sales. Holy cow. So again, we now have our setting. Okay? Place is kitchen. We have a lot of atmosphere here. Place is a mess, sticky with everything all around it. And she's worried about 96 cups. Holy cow, can he make a ton of money? And notice immediately how she knew. Where had Evan gotten the lemonade? He hadn't gone to the store, and he didn't have any money anyway. Then Jessie remembered the paper bags that Paul, Ryan, and Jack had carried in. She bet the boys had all raided their freezers and brought over a stash. Highlight that. Vocabulary. So, we know that Evan makes friends really easily. That's the one thing he does better than Jessie, and he's using those friends to help him. That didn't seem fair. She and Megan had to buy their lemonade today using the money they'd made yesterday. How are they going to stay ahead of the game if the boys had free lemonade to sell? "Think, Jessie, think," she whispered to herself. She couldn't let those boys win. By the time she finished her lunch and cleaned up her mess, she wasn't going to lift a finger to clean up the boys' mess. She had the beginning of a plan in her head, which is why she found it doubly confusing when she knocked on Megan's screen and Carly Brownell came to the door. New character. Jessie'd been all ready to say, "I've got a great idea," but then there was Carly looking down at her like she was an earwig. That is a simile. An earwig's a bug. Simile comparing Jessie to a bug. So Carly is looking at her like she's just some bug. Look up an earring. They're pretty cool. Is Megan home? Asked Jessie. Carly didn't even open the screen door as she looked left and right behind Jessie. Where's Evan? Huh? Said Jessie. Megan came running down the stairs carrying bottles of nail polish. Oh, hi, Jessie, she said, opening the door. She poked her head out and looked around. Where's Evan? He's at home. Why? Asked Jessie. Carly made a noise like a snorting hippopotamus. Simile. I thought you said he was coming, said Megan. No, I didn't, said Jessie. You said it would be fun to make a lemonade stand with all three of us, and I said, yeah, that would be fun. So, didn't you want to? Asked Megan. I never asked him, said Jessie. Oh, I thought you were going to, said Megan. Then you should have said, hey, Jessie, ask Evan if he wants to make a lemonade stand tomorrow, and then I would have asked him. This was exactly what drove Jessie crazy about girls. They always said things halfway and then expected you to get the other half, and Jessie never got the other half. Well, she knows the things that she's kind of missing and still needs to learn. Carly gave Megan a look. Jessie wasn't positive what the look meant, but she was pretty sure it wasn't a nice one. That was the other thing that Jessie hated about girls. They were always giving looks. Looks that contained all kinds of strange and complicated messages. Now, I know Jessie says that it's girls that do that, but I think we know boys do that too. Last year in second grade, there had been 4 girls who were always exchanging looks with one another. So here we go with another anecdote. Becky Baker, Lorelei Sun, Andrea Hennessy, and Eileen Garrett. Character. These are minor characters, and they're from the past. But we heard about this club earlier in the story. I think Evan mentioned it. Jessie watched them and knew that Evan was right. They talked without words. They used their eyes to pass secret messages. She also knew that they didn't like her, but only because Evan had finally explained it to her over Christmas vacation. Jessie was surprised when he told her this. They laughed so much. How could they be mean? They were the 4 who started the club, the Wild Hot Jelly Beans Club, or as they called it, the WHJ Club. Becky was president, and she was always telling the others what to do. They made signs and paper buttons and membership cards. The teacher, Mrs. Soren, didn't usually allow clubs in the classroom, but she made an exception, telling the girls, I'll let you wear your buttons in class, but only if you let all the other kids join if they want to. By the end of the day, every kid in the class was wearing a WHJ button, even Jessie, who'd never belonged to a club before. All right, so exception is in that paragraph. Find it, highlight it, put a V above it. Made an exception. Normally she does it one way, but she makes an exception. So she's doing it different than she normally does. And then another new character, Mrs. Soren. Again, this is in the past. She's a minor character, but worth highlighting and putting a CH at the top. So I think we know that something's up with this club. Jessie's a part of it, and I think we know that somehow this club is not working for her, but working against her. Let's find out how. Jessie remembered all the girls laughing and Jessie laughing too, and all those strange looks that Becky and Lorelei and Andrea and Eileen kept flashing back and forth like secret notes passed in class that Jessie could never read. Simile, comparing the secret looks to secret notes. The very next day, Mrs. Soren collected all the buttons, gathered up all the membership cards, and even replaced Jessie's Writer's Workshop folder. No clubs in the classroom, she said. I made a bad choice by allowing it even for one day. On the playground, Jessie went up to Becky. Why is she breaking up the club? She asked. Becky gave her a sour look. She'd been grumpy all morning. Don't you get it, you dummy? WHJ doesn't stand for Wild Hot Jelly Beans. We just said that to Mrs. Soren. It stands for We Hate Jessie. It's the We Hate Jessie Club, and everyone in the class is a member. Ooh. Ouch. Can you believe that? Even Jessie had a pin on. How mean is that? Jessie stared at Becky. Why did they hate her? What had she ever done to them? It didn't make sense. And then Lorelei and Andrea and Eileen had laughed, and even Becky had managed a smirky grin. Jerks, Evan said later when Jessie told him the whole story. They've got rocks for brains. But Jess, you got to be on the lookout for girls like that. So think about Evan. He's kind of her protector there, the way a big brother should be, to be perfectly honest. The way any brother should be for his sister. And any sister should be for her brother. Like, siblings should look out for each other. And we know that siblings don't get along sometimes. But at the end of the day, like, siblings need to stand up for each other when it counts. And he was. But compare it to now. How is Evan acting now compared to how Evan is acting then? What are his character traits then compared to now? And is he being fair? And I think it's a good question to ask, because is he being fair? Is she being fair? And it's a very interesting question. We talked about the win-win, win-lose, lose-lose. They're both acting kind of off of their normal character traits. Look, said Jesse, it doesn't matter. Evan can't come over. He's busy. And we've got to get going on our lemonade stand. I've got a great idea. So you can see she's lying. She's not telling Megan about Evan's lemonade stand. We don't want to do a lemonade stand, said Carly. Jesse looked at Megan. It's just that Megan fiddled with the bottles of nail polish in her hand the same way she'd fiddled with her band bracelets the day before. It's kind of hot, and we did the lemonade thing already, and now Carly is over. So, you said you wanted to, said Jessie, and I thought you liked me, she added in her head. She felt her lower lip tremble. Not now, she shouted inside. Don't you be a big baby. Megan stood there, saying nothing, fiddling with the bottles. Then she turned to Carly. Oh, come on, Carly, it'll be fun. We made a ton of money yesterday, and it was really fun. So, again, we've changed settings. So we've moved to Carly's house in the afternoon, and in the environment is Jesse's outside, Carly's sort of inside, kind of is the gatekeeper, and Megan, you can see, is tentative at first, but she really wants to do the lemonade stand. She likes hanging out with Jesse. Carly's sort of like Scott Spencer. Kind of ironic. Carly crossed her arms, tightened her lip, and raised one eyebrow. It was amazing how high she could raise that eyebrow. Jesse had never seen an eyebrow go that high. Hyperbole. Oh, come on, Carly, Megan said again. Carly didn't move a muscle. Well, then I guess... Megan's voice trailed off. She clicked one bottle of nail polish against another so that it made a tapping sound that filled the long silence. I guess me and Jesse will do the lemonade stand alone then. She's picking Jesse. That's pretty cool. Carly dropped her eyebrow in her arms. Whatever, she said as she walked out the door. Spend the day babysitting if you want. The screen door slammed, followed by a huge bucket full of silence. A huge bucket full of silence is a metaphor comparing silence to water. That's a really neat moment. Character trait for Megan is she chooses the right kid to hang out with. Carly is kind of this mean kid, and she just says, I'm not hanging out with you. I'm hanging out with Jesse. Whatever, said Megan, imitating Carly's voice. Jessie laughed, even though she was still stinging from the babysitting remark. Thanks for doing the lemonade stand with me, she said. Are you kidding? Said Megan. She's such a stuck-up jerk. I didn't even invite her over. She just rode by. And when I said that you and Evan might be coming over, she just walked into the house. She likes Evan, too. Are all the girls in 4th grade like her? Asked Jessie. She tried to sound casual. Highlight vocab, casual. Like casual clothes would be like wearing like jeans and a t-shirt. If you act casual, you're sort of acting like, I don't really care. So she's trying to sound casual, just sort of trying to find out the information about 4th grade without sounding like she needs to. Some are, some aren't, said Megan. She sat down on the stairs and opened a bottle of sky blue nail polish. With quick, expert strokes, she started painting her toenails. Hey, that's right. You're going to be in our class this year. That's so weird, jumping a grade. A lot of people skip a grade, said Jessie. Really? I've never met one before. Here, do your toes green, and then we'll be coordinated. Highlight, vocab word. Coordinated means together, doing things together. Okay, which is a great word for this because Jessie and Megan are doing things together. And this nail polish is almost a symbol of that. Jessie ended up getting more polish on her toes than on her toenails. But by the time they were done, Jessie explained her plan for the day. Value added. See, she said, pulling 10 bright ideas to light up your sales from the back pocket of her shorts. She turned to bright idea number 2 and pointed with her finger. Value added. Something extra, such as a special feature or attractive packaging, added by a company to a product that makes the product more desirable in the marketplace. So they're going to add some value to just the lemonade. That means we give customers something extra they didn't expect, explained Jessie. I mean, anyone can go home and mix up their own batch of lemonade, right? So if we want them to buy from us, we've got to give them something extra. We add value. Great, said Megan. What are we going to add? Well, how about chips? And maybe pretzels? Everyone likes chips and pretzels. We'll just have a bowl on the table, and anyone who buys lemonade can have some free snacks. So we're adding value. Snacks. Yeah, except Jessie stayed up late last night reading her mom's booklet. You know what we're really adding? Fun. That's the one thing people can't get all by themselves. It looks like we're selling lemonade and snacks, but we're really selling fun. And everyone wants fun. Work hard, be nice, have fun. Wow, said Megan, that's really smart. It'll be like a party. Who doesn't like a party? Jessie nodded her head. She carefully tore out the definition of value added from the booklet and put it in her lockbox. Her mother always said, some ideas are like money in the bank. Simile. Ideas to money in the bank. It's a good comparison if you have a really good idea. An hour later, they were all set up. The lemonade stand was newly decorated with streamers and balloons. 3 bowls of snacks, Cheetos, potato chips, and pretzels were set on top. Jessie had lugged Megan's boombox all the way downstairs, and Megan was doing the DJ thing with her CD collection. It looked like a party had somehow sprung up right in the middle of the hot concrete sidewalk. To anyone passing by, the lemonade stand shouted out, "Come over here! This is where the fun is!" Some great personification. As soon as the music had come on, customer had started drifting over. One of the moms across the street set up a sprinkler in her front yard, and soon all the kids in the neighborhood were running through the sprinkler and grabbing handfuls of Cheetos. 2 women walking their dogs stopped for a nibble and ended up staying an hour. And 3 or 4 of the neighborhood mothers set up lawn chairs nearby and talked and ate pretzels while their kids ran through the water. Doing a great job of creating a party, but what's missing? But Jessie noticed a funny thing. Even though there was an endless buzz of activity around the stand and the chips were flying out of the bowls faster than Megan could restock them, they weren't selling much lemonade. "Hey, Jordan," said Jessie, as a 4-year-old boy ran by in a bathing suit, "don't you want a cup of lemonade?" Jordan dive-bombed the pretzel bowl and came up with a fistful. "I had too much already. 4 glasses!" And off he ran. "4 glasses?" said Jessie to Megan. "He didn't buy any." "Mrs. Doran, don't you want a cup of lemonade?" "Sorry, Jessie, I have to pass," said Mrs. Doran. "I had 2 already, and I'm trying to cut down on sugary drinks." "Where's everybody drinking so much lemonade?" wondered Jessie. She looked down the road. "Oh, wait a minute. Megan, hold down the fort," said Jessie. "I'll be right back." "Oh, yeah, there is another lemonade stand, isn't there? What was the name of the chapter? Oh, Underselling. "Sure thing," said Megan, dancing to the music. "This lemonade stand was the greatest idea. It's like a birthday for the whole neighborhood." Simile, comparing the lemonade stand to a birthday for the neighborhood. Jessie headed down the road. As she rounded the bend, she prepared for the worst. Evan's lemonade stand crowded with customers, but there was nothing, absolutely nothing. The corner was deserted. She crossed the street and went into the garage. There was the cooler, dirty and empty, and there were the stacked plastic chairs, 4 of them this time. And there was, wait a minute, those were new signs. Jessie pulled out 3 large pieces of foam core. On the back of each one was part of the penguin project Evan had done last year in 3rd grade. On the front were big letters. "Slow down, cheapest lemonade in town, ahead. Yesterday's prices, today's lemonade." So again, we have a new setting. Jessie has moved to the garage, and we have again this atmosphere. Again, it's still the afternoon, a little bit later in the afternoon though, and she's curious and she's worried, and it's hot, and she's now sees that her brother had a great idea of selling cheap lemonade. "You won't believe your eyes. Icy cold lemonade, just 10 cents a cup." Jessie couldn't believe her eyes. 10 cents a cup? That was crazy. Even if they sold all 96 cups, they'd only made $9.60 and split 4 ways. That was just $2.40 for each boy. Evan was never going to earn $100 with that kind of profit. Jessie went down into the basement. Evan and Paul were playing air hockey. Now, we already highlighted Paul, but go ahead and highlight him again because we're going to learn a little bit about him. Washoo! The puck flew into Evan's goal, and Paul threw his arms into the air in a victory V. Ah, ha, ha. Washoo. Onomatopoeia. "Oh, snap," said Evan. "You're winning." "Winning? Winning? Are you kidding me?" said Paul. Then he dropped his voice to a gravelly growl and said, "I don't play to win. I play to pulverize." Just like that muscle guy actor in Agent Down, the movie that all the boys were talking about. Paul was even flexing his muscles like that actor, except that Paul didn't have any muscles, at least none that Jessie could see. Paul was flexing. Highlight flexing. What's flexing? I know you flexed too. I saw you. When Paul saw Jessie, he dropped his arm. "Hey," he said. Paul was Jessie's favorite of Evan's friends. He always joked around with her, but in a nice way, and he never minded when Evan invited her to come along with them. "Hey," said Jessie, "what's up?" Evan turned off the air hockey table. "Nothing," he said. "We were just going out." Paul dropped his hockey paddle onto the table and followed Evan into the garage. Jessie trailed behind. So then we changed setting to the basement. Now we're going back to the garage. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Down to the tracks," said Paul as he strapped on his bike helmet. "We put pennies there this morning, so we're going to get them now." Squash. "You wanna?" "Yo!" shouted Evan. "My bee," muttered Paul. "So see ya," he said to Jessie. Jessie hated this feeling of being shut out, like she wasn't wanted. Evan had never made her feel that way before. Even when sometimes he did want to be just with his friends, he'd always say things like, "Jess, we're going to go shoot hoops just like the two of us. But when we get back, we'll play Spud with you," so that she knew he still liked her, even when she wasn't invited along. But this was like he hated her, like he never wanted to play with her again, and Paul was going right along with it. Jessie scowled. "So you really cleaned up today at the lemonade stand, huh?" she said. Highlight scowled. Vocab word, make a scowl. Right? That was kind of a zombie. It is Halloween week. "Yep, we sold out," said Evan. "So what did you make, like $3?" she asked. "Actually, we made a ton. What was it, Paul?" $45, said Paul. Jessie's mouth went slack. Highlight vocab. $45? There's no way, she said. Not at 10 cents a cup. "Oh, just the little kids paid that," said Evan. "The grown-ups all gave us way more." "That's too cheap," they said. "It's such a hot day and you're working so hard. Here, take $1. Keep the change." It was crazy. "Unreal," said Paul. "They kept pushing all this money at us because they thought it was so sweet we were selling lemonade for $0.10. We made a killing." Bright idea number 5, Jessie remembered it immediately. That's called goodwill. Highlight vocab, she said slowly, picturing the exact page from her mother's booklet with the definition on it. And here's your definition. Goodwill, an intangible, highlight vocabulary word. So an intangible is like an extra quality, this cool, neat quality that people have. So goodwill is one of those extra qualities, an intangible, but recognized asset that results from making, selling good products, having good relationships with your customers and suppliers, and being well regarded in the community. So goodwill is just doing those level 6 and level 5 things to other people, and then they pay it back to you for doing it. It's like karma almost. It's when you do something nice in business and it ends up paying you back with money, she sighed. Why hadn't she thought of that? She would be sure to tear out that definition and put it in her lockbox when she got back to the lemonade stand. "Well, whatever, we cleaned up," said Evan. "Even so," said Jessie, trying to find some way to prove that Evan had not had a good day selling lemonade. You had 4 people working the stand, so if you split $45 4 ways, that's only $11.25 each, which is still way more than I'm going to make today, she thought, since the whole neighborhood is already filled up on cheap lemonade. We're not splitting, said Evan. The guy said I could keep it all. Right, said Paul. All for a good cause. That's not fair, said Jesse. Sure it is, said Evan as he got on his bike and pushed off. In case you didn't know, that's what it's like to have friends. Evan crossed the street. Ouch, said Paul. TTFN, Jess. He followed Evan. Jesse was left standing alone in the driveway. TTFN. Ta-ta for now. So, predictions. What is Jesse going to do because of this? And what is Evan's next move? 45 bucks. Like, he's almost halfway home. But how is he going to get that much? Like, how's he going to do like that again? Or his friend's going to continue to help him? He does have friends, and really, Jesse, the only friend she has right now is Megan. So, all right, that's it for chapter 6. Long chapter. On to chapter 7. Location, location, location. So you can already set up that chapter with setting, since it is said location, location, location. And again, this is Evan's chapter. So we're going to see a new location, I think, for Evan. Will it work or will it not? All right, on to the next. Peace. Oh, yeah. One last thing. Hold up before you go. Please make sure that you hit the subscribe button below. I love doing this. I don't really need a whole lot of subscriptions, but it's cool to have people just to ask questions, make comments, participate in this gigantic guided read aloud that I'm doing. So please add your comments below. Please make them thorough, and I'll answer them, or some people in my class will answer them. And that goes for teachers out there too. If you have any ideas, if you want to join into the fun, I'm always open for that. New ideas with this YouTube channel as I continue forward reading these books so that, you know, we can have a resource out there during this crazy pandemic time. Where you can read and enjoy the books. So smash the subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when I update the site. And like I said, if you have any awesome ideas, great ideas for books, please by all means let me know. I'm going to be reading a ton of books over the next few months, and I would love to have some ideas. All right? So thanks for taking part. Thanks for being a part of this. I really enjoy it, and I enjoy all the comments that I get. So keep up the great work. And to my 4th grade class, awesome job today. I will see you guys tomorrow, and I will see everyone else on the next page. Peace.